Hello and welcome to another edition of Business Africa. I am Afolake Oinloye. The top stories this week. Egypt to issue international bond as it seeks to reduce its cost funding and narrow budget deficits. ECFA, the digital currency for French-speaking West Africa. And the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation NNPC plans 60% local refining capacity in 2017. Egypt plans to issue a conventional bond which could go up to $2.5 billion. The timing of the debt sale is not yet known, but will be decided in the coming days. On Tuesday, at the first stop of the country's banned roadshow in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, Egypt didn't answer to its arrears owed to foreign oil companies, nor provide a net amount of outflows versus inflows. Here is more with Michael DB and Bridget Ugwe.
Egypt may issue international bonds with as much as $11 billion within a year. The amount almost doubled the previous target as the government seeks to reduce its cost of funding and narrow the budget deficit. Finance Minister El Gaher on Sunday in the Cairo said the government will start by issuing $2 billion to $2.5 billion denominated bonds. A marketing roadshow is expected to run beginning on January 17. El Gaher told Bloomberg in November he was eyeing $6 billion of sales in 2017. Egypt has been paying yields of about 20% on domestic T-bonds and T-bills since the central bank raised interest rates on November 3rd. The finance ministry last month said in addition to dollars, the government may also issue yen and yen-dominated bonds as it seeks to reduce costs. The government also lifted a budget deficit target for the fiscal year that began on July 1 to 10.2% of gross domestic product from the previously announced 9.8%. It was 12.2% last year. The ratio dropped to 5.1% in the first half from 6.2% in the same period a year ago. The investor-entrepreneur relationship in Egypt has been something of a roller coaster, but some say they are finally starting to iron out the bumps after a long learning process. A51 investment director Tamar Azza believes the relationship between investors and entrepreneurs in Egypt has suffered in the past few years.
Having a digital currency for the 8 member countries of the West African Economic and Monetary Union is not far-fetched. Now the ECFA, as they call it, is to be issued by the Regional Bank of Markets in accordance with the regulations of the digital money outlined by the Economic Grouping's Central Bank, the Central Bank of West African States. Just as the CFA franc, it will be an official legal tender. Jean-David Mahamley and Michael Oduwo reports.
Dakar, the headquarters of the BCEAO, the Central Bank of 8 West African states, is expected to play a key role in the advent of this year's ECFA, the digital version of the CFA franc. It's a project carried out by the Regional Bank of Markets, a West African financial institution based on financial innovation, and the e-currency Mint Limited.
Why financial technology is being adopted so quickly? The reason is twofold. One, it lowers costs. And of course it lowers costs for everybody. It lowers costs for the financial institutions and it lowers costs for those who use the services. And that is why, that's the second point, why it's so good for inclusion. Because many poor people are excluded from financial services because it's just not worth it for banks to reach out to poor people.
This initiative, which concerns the West African Economic and Monetary Union, will initially be tested in Senegal before it's rolled out in other countries in the region. For the International Monetary Fund, financial innovation can only be beneficial to Africa. The system will be based on a secure payment card that will be issued by the Regional Bank of Markets. Taking, for instance, the example of Waemu, on a population of 112 million inhabitants, barely 22 million people have access to banking services. The initiative will enable more citizens to be integrated into the banking system.
We'll be taking you to Nigeria, where the government eyes 60% local refining capacity before the year runs out. Right after this break.